If a baby doesn't want to feed, you get really worried. And if a child says, I'm not hungry, you know there's something wrong. Hungering and thirsting is natural. And going through these Beatitudes, we find that the obvious next step for someone who's mourning about their shortcomings is an appetite to get righteous. Jesus said, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, they will be filled. That's an acknowledgement that I can't produce righteousness, I need to receive it, I need to hunger and thirst for it. I don't grow by willpower, I grow by receiving something into myself, like the baby longing for milk. We want to grow into righteousness, that's our desire. That's normal for a believer. Now, wonderfully, we are introduced right from the beginning when we become Christians to the gift of righteousness. God made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God in him. We receive this free gift of righteousness. God declares us righteous from the beginning, gives us a clean sheet, gives us a white robe. We're declared righteous. So, as Paul says in Romans 6, shall we carry on sinning then? If God's happy to give us the gift of righteousness. And he quickly answers, he says, no, by no means. How can we who died to sin still live in it? By being united to Jesus, we not only were given an outward righteousness, we died to the power of sin. It says so plainly in Romans chapter 6, you used to be a slave of sin, but now you are a slave of righteousness. Righteousness is where you feel at home. That's your new identity. Paul doesn't say try and become a slave of righteousness. He says you are. You are a slave of righteousness. That's what's happened to you through the new birth. But now we have freedom, and we can, as Paul says, present the members of our body to sin as instruments of sin. Or we can present them to God as instruments of righteousness. We need to keep on making good choices, hungering and thirsting that God will give us victory over things that used to dominate us, taking the promises, making them our own, fighting the good fight of faith, working out our salvation with fear and trembling, for God's at work in us to will and do his good pleasure. So yes, we keep on hungering and thirsting for righteousness, not for morality, not for religiousness, but for the life that Jesus gives. He's our true vine. We're his branches. Keep enjoying his love. Keep spending time in his presence. Keep beholding him. You will be changed from one degree of glory to another. It's the promise of God. We will be filled. We will be changed. John says, don't be fooled. He who declares himself righteous lives righteously. God give us those victories as his free gift, and more will be transformed into his likeness.